good. You tell me. How are you feeling?
I'm excited. There are a lot of butterflies in the stomach. My hands are getting a little clammy, but those are like the physiological stimulus that our body tells us when we are feeling excited. So really pumped up for this big interview. Hey guys, welcome to yet another episode of this series called Secrets of Greatness, where I am going to take all of us on a journey to help us unlock the true potential of the human mind through my research on a topic that is very simple yet sometimes complex. What does it take for people to be successful, to be great? What are the common traits, the habits, the mindsets, the psychology of these so-called successful people? In today's very, very special episode, I have a very, very special guest lined up for you who will be sharing his insights. So stay tuned, and don't forget, if you haven't already done so, to please click the subscribe button and click the thumbs up button. It helps us generate more content. Cricket is like a religion in the country that I'm originally from, Pakistan. The country has a population of over 200 million people, and only 240 have had the success to represent the nation at an international level. You do not just need talent, but also the work ethics to represent the nation at such an enormous stage. And you are definitely a success story if you get to be selected for the Pakistani cricket team. So in today's special episode of Secrets of Greatness, I have with me a current Pakistani Test cricketer who has tasted success after seeing some failures. So please join me in welcoming the very humble and the extremely hardworking Shan Masood. Hey Shan, how are you?
I'm good, Omar. Thank you for having me on your show.
It is such a pleasure. It's such an honor. Thank you so much to you for agreeing to be on this show and contributing towards my research. I really appreciate it. How's your day going?
My pleasure. Very good. I mean, we're fasting into Ramadan now, and just enjoying it at the moment. I don't think it could have come at a better time.
Oh yes, and you're getting time with the family now, right? So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 8 months, and I'm finally back home, and I'm enjoying time with the family now.
That sounds beautiful. Shan, so picking up on our conversation from last time where you and we spoke a little bit more in detail about some of the research work that I'm doing, and you are so kind and generous to contribute towards that. So this interview will be a part of that study. And I'm so happy that you're contributing. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. So,
you're welcome.
All right. So Shan, if I may, we can get started with the first segment. Is that okay?
Of course.
All right. So Shan, the first segment is what I call as the great rapid fire round. Okay? In this round, I'm just going to throw you some easy questions, or as you can say, like a few Yorkers, a few bouncers here and there, left, right, and center. Few will be wides. You can skip some of them if you really want to. That's all good. You can pass. Yeah. There are no hard feelings. Just try to be very spontaneous, quick with your answers. And let's just have some fun so that we can just get warmed up to the more of the intense questions. Sounds good?
Yeah. Sounds perfect.
At any time, if there are any technical difficulties, by the way, just let me know. Awesome. Okay, Shan, so let's begin the great rapid fire. Starting off with a very easy question. Shan, tell me your favorite book or a book that changed your life.
I'd say it'd probably be the first one that I read. It's called Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. I read it in 2015, and the subtitle basically I got sold because of the subtitle, and it's called The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. This basically trusts you to teaches you to trust your subconscious, and that's probably the first time I delved into even sort of acknowledging that I have a subconscious.
Wow, that's amazing. And Malcolm Gladwell is definitely one of my favorite authors as well. All right, the next question: a habit that you want to break.
A habit that I want to break, probably procrastination or guilt about not doing something. Yeah.
That's a tough one. Okay, so next one, a habit that you actually want to build.
A habit that I want to build, just be more accepting to any sort of anything that I don't agree with. Um, and that can be anything, whether it's failure, whether it's listening to an opinion of somebody, to just being more like accepting towards other things.
That's beautiful. All right, next one, an all-time great person from any field that you would like to meet.
Ooh, that's a tricky one, but I mean, lately it's Steph Curry would be my number one.
Steph Curry, you love Steph Curry. Of course, you have those
Absolutely.
roots from California, right? That's why. All right, that's awesome. If you weren't a cricketer, what would you be, Sean?
I can never imagine anything else other than being a cricketer. So
All
I'm
right,
gonna let that one go. Yeah.
let that one go. Fair enough. So we all know about your fitness regime. You are one of the fittest guys in the Pakistani cricket team. But tell me, what's your favorite cheat meal?
Pizza, any day.
Pizza? Any day.
A thin crust pizza, but a pizza is a cheat meal regardless.
Thin crust pizza. Got it, man. That's awesome. And what is your least favorite part of training?
Uh, I don't know, just probably cardio or just the repetitive nature of training at times. There's some days where you just don't want to go, and that's
Yeah,
when you know you have to go. So probably being consistent with it and doing lots of cardio, which can be very strenuous.
that's right. Yeah, those are the tough
Also,
days.
and also body weight stuff. I hate doing body weight stuff.
So
I'm
that
awful
naturally.
with push-ups. I'm
Okay,
awful
so
with push-ups.
okay, got it. All right, Sean, a superpower that you wish you had.
Uh, I mean, the most ideal one would be like probably looking into the future
Uh-huh.
and then kind of changing it. But I think my favorite superhero has always been Batman. So I just
You're a
want to
bat.
be a normal guy that doesn't have any superpowers and can still make a difference.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's really nicely put, actually. All right, a batsman that you would like to bat with.
There are a lot at the moment. Um, I
Give the
mean,
top one.
obviously, I already bat with Babar, so Babar goes out of that
Yeah.
list. So like you have your Kohli, Smith, Root, Williamson, all of those guys. I would love to bat, or maybe even Alistair Cook, who I've always
Yeah,
admired, and then Graham Smith. So there's just a huge list.
great, awesome. An all-time sporting role model.
I've like ever since I've picked up a role model, it's been like initially it's always been Ronaldo and Roger Federer, but now
Uh-huh.
I'll put Steph Curry into the frame as well, and he'd be yeah, he'll always
Love
be
it.
a role model.
Love it. Who is the worst sledger in the team?
Probably myself. I think on two counts. One that
Tell me.
whenever I've sledged, I've always had karma serving me right after that. And secondly, I don't think I can come up with anything original.
Okay, fair enough. And who's the best sledger in the team then?
I mean, there are quite a lot of funny guys. And then when we talk about sledging, you want to have somebody that's funny. So
Yeah,
Sarfaraz is funny. Imamul Haq is very funny. We've got characters. We've got a lot of characters. Then you've got your fast bowlers, which are very like aggressive, and then they're also
yeah.
like, if you look at Amir, Amir is fully intense, but he also knows how to crack a joke as well. So he's somebody who's always been on top of the opposition. So we've got a few effective sledges in the team.
That's awesome, man. That's good to know. Sean, who is the fastest bowler that you have faced?
I think I faced Dale Steyn and Mitchell Johnson at their fastest.
Yes.
And I think those would be the two. But then again, like recently, there's been Rabada, there's been Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark. I think those are the guys that I'd call the quickest at the moment.
All right. And who is the toughest bowler that you have faced so far?
Pat Cummins by a mile.
Pat Cummins, what makes him special? Any?
I I mean, for somebody to be quick, to have some skill with the ball, and at the same time just be so consistent and keep running in countless number of overs a day. We played them in Australia, and it was quite warm over there. Just kept coming spell after spell. There's one spell where he bowled 10 in a row. When he got me out at the Gabba, he bowled 7 in a row, and he insisted on bowling the 7th over, and that's when I got out. I mean, you just like bowlers that are relentless, and I'd also probably put Rabada in the mold. I mean, if I'm trying to pick my all-time favorite, it'd probably be Dale Steyn.
Got it. Well, that's a great list. Pat Cummins, Rabada, and Dale Steyn. Yeah, those are definitely some tough bowlers. Who is the biggest prankster in the team?
Imam
Haq. Anything that you think you can share? Any funny story that you think you can share?
Not on the top of my head, because I mean he just goes through so much that
okay.
Find it hard counting. Yeah.
Okay, seems like there are a lot. Okay.
Yeah, I think you can come up with a book of pranks.
Great. Okay. Awesome. Shan, who's the best captain that you have played under? And this could be even at a domestic level or at PSL level, if not international.
Like, I think I've been lucky enough to play under Yunus Khan, who's been a role model for me as well.
Yeah.
But tactically, what I've seen, I mean, I've played under Misbah as well, who's been one of Pakistan's most successful captains.
Yeah.
But I think tactically, what I've seen, Sarfaraz was right up there. And so smart tactically on the field. His knowledge, his sense of the game is immaculate, and I think he was a great leader for Pakistan.
Right, that's awesome. You covered all three of them. Okay, someone you feel intimidated by, either in the dressing room or outside?
Ooh. Dressing room initially was always Lala, because he had this aura, this aura about him.
Yeah.
But I think ever since we've started playing for Multan Sultans, I've gotten to know him more. I've spent more time with him, and he's such a great guy to have in the dressing room. Yeah, I think he has that personality, and then that can intimidate a person initially, but the more you get to know him, you realize that what a great guy he is.
Got it. Awesome. Shan, an emerging player who you think has all the ingredients to become a great or to become successful?
I think sometimes we just put too much pressure on the younger lot by saying that somebody has all the ingredients. I'm a huge believer that you build ingredients as you go along, and you never stop adding ingredients to your profession, to your skill. And if I'm going to take one name, that might be a bit unfair, but we've got quite a lot of people coming up. And I think the PSL proved it. You had Haider Ali, you had Shan Malik, you had Rohail Nazir, Umar Khan, like countless number of people that played the PSL. We had Ali Shafiq in our team as well, Mohammad Ilyas in our team as well. So I think there are a lot of youngsters coming up, and again, like Hasnain, Naseem Shah, Musa, Harish Rauf, these are all guys that have already played international cricket, so you wouldn't really call them upcoming. But I think we've got a really good batch of younger guys coming in and actually challenging for playing 11 spots.
And if I'll make that question because you've named like pretty much everyone, all the youngsters who played PSL. Let me reframe that. Who has the work ethics, the right work ethic, the most, the best
work ethics?
Yeah. If I were to change the question.
I can only say about the four guys that I named that have already started playing Pakistan cricket. They're different, so you can put them aside. The ones I've played with, I can say they have a good work ethic. I've played with Rohail. He's got a really good work ethic. Shan Malik, and then Umar Khan. I played like Umar Khan was a find of our cricket department, UBL. Our coach Umar Rashid and our manager Nadeem Khan. They were the ones that found him out of literally a net practice in Peshawar. And they brought him into the circuit, and the kid would just bowl all day long. So it's got amazing work ethics.
That's amazing to know. Shan, a teammate that you would not want to share a room with?
Haven't come across anyone like that. I think I'm quite
Oh.
flexible, and yeah, I've enjoyed rooming with different people at different times. You just learn so many things, and you enjoy so many like different companies with like different people. So I like diversity.
So let me reframe that then. Who's your favorite roommate so far?
Favorite roommate would probably be Asad Shafiq's a good guy to hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy time with Asad. I think we like going to the cinema. We like eating out. We like playing the PlayStation. So I think we've
Nice.
got similar likes. Neat and tidy guy as well. I can get pretty OCD at times. So yeah, Asad's been a good roommate.
Awesome. And the last one, if you could attend a masterclass session of a cricketer from any era, who would you pick?
Ooh. I'd always say Kumar Sangakkara because of his
Oh.
knowledge of the game. Anytime.
What a classy player. What a classy player, for sure. That's awesome. That's a great answer. Tian, that was amazing, man. I think you hammered me all over the park. I had fun. I hope you enjoyed this first session.
That was really good.
I worked a little hard to think about these questions. Let's move on to the next segment where we're going to get more what I call as the great candid chat. And in this section, Shan, let's just have a nice candid conversation about your career. But more or less, I think what you and I started talking about were more on the non-technical aspects of any professional, right? That's where you and I we connected as well. So if I am not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I think at least to me, I can view your career in three different parts. One, before you made your debut in 2013, and between the time you started playing FC cricket, so 2007 to 2013, that's part one. Then came your international debut against South Africa in 2013. And that period of being in and out of the team and not doing too well went all the way up until another South African series in 2018 or 19, I believe, where then you just came back and you were, to me, a transformed batsman altogether, right? So let's walk through those three phases of Shan Masood's journey. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's completely fine.
Awesome. So my first question to you, Shan, is give me a peek into your brain and into your mindset, before you made your international debut. I want to learn what were your beliefs at that time? What were your values? What was your psychology at that point?
I think there was a lot of immaturity, and it was pretty much just focusing on just the goal and the dream, and that was to play for Pakistan. And then I played under 19s for Pakistan, and in my batch we had an amazing under 19s batch which went into the 2008 World Cup. We had Amir, we had Ahmed Shahzad, Umar Akmal, Umar Amin, Imad Wasim, Usman Salahuddin, Junaid Khan. So, and a lot of those guys went on to play for Pakistan early on. So I think I was too sort of outcome oriented then. I just wanted to play for Pakistan. And even in that time, I learned that I played my best cricket at times where I completely devoted myself to that present moment. And I had some really good seasons in under 19 cricket. Then I went to boarding school in England. I had a really good school season over there. Then I came back into first class, and my best first class season was also at a time where I just focused on first class cricket and didn't look too ahead. But I think overall, I was always just bothered about, I want to play for Pakistan, but never actually really figuring out a way to play for Pakistan. And I think I was pretty immature in dealing with any sort of setback or any sort of non-selection or anything. And I was always looking at external things than myself at that particular time.
Right. And it's that phase of us not being very introspective about our own selves or taking that inner journey to realize like perhaps the fault is not external, it's actually internal, right?
Exactly.
So what about later on? Like, how did that mindset or that psychology change after you made your international debut in 2013?
I think having a good first sort of innings in international cricket sort of helped. And but again, the thing with international cricket was, again, I'll always be on a learning curve, but then I was still figuring out a lot of things in my game. And I think I was quite raw at that particular time. And what I didn't acknowledge was I didn't accept I was raw, and at the same time I was looking for results. So I think that was the time where I should have accepted that the outcome is not, initially the outcomes are not going to matter. Initially it's my time to go there, throw myself in the cauldron and see how I respond, what are the things I can learn from it. So I don't think I was a good learner, and when I had a bad innings, and as a batsman, if you're playing 5 innings, you do well in a couple or max 3. You're always bound to have a failure because it's a 1-ball game for a batsman. So I don't think I was quite acceptable towards the fact that I had a lot to learn or I wanted to learn. So, and I think that's what brought the inconsistency as well, when you just keep looking for results. I remember that even after I got my first Test 100, that's the time that I expected myself to kick on. I expected myself to raise my average from 30s to 40s and onwards. But I think I just put too much expectations on myself. And once I started playing international cricket, I think where I was and where I set the bar, that was a huge gap. And I thought I needed to be really very honest with myself.
I think you bring up a very, very interesting point, a very good point about being, and this is something that comes from the study of psychology of mindset, right? The mindset of people who eventually get on that path of success and greatness are those who are more process oriented versus outcome oriented. And that is something that you just spoke about in your answer. Like, initially, even before you started your international cricket, or right even after a few years after, it was all about the outcome. It was all about the results and not much about the process, right? That's a very good point, and that's a great point that you have brought up, Shan. Shan, so in our previous conversation, you spoke to me about something very interesting that I picked up on, and you said that journaling is something that really helped you become more introspective, especially after that series against England, right, in 2016. And you mentioned that you didn't just focus on making those technical changes by hiring a batting coach, but you also started making some non-technical changes, right? What I call them as our non-cognitive capabilities. So let's focus on that a little bit. Let's focus on those non-cognitive capabilities. Tell me a little bit more. What were those non-cognitive capabilities that you worked on, and how did those help you transform your game so that when you came back, you were a very different batsman altogether?
I think when I started playing international cricket in 2013, and then I was in and out from 2014 onwards, I had probably my first injury as well, and just the pressures of being dropped or not being selected, of not scoring runs, of trying to improve my game, but I mean, not working. I mean, if things don't work out the way you want them, all of that sort of led me, and then obviously hearing how different sportsmen started looking at mental health, and you always heard this phrase that sports is more a mental challenge than a physical challenge, because at the end of the day, it's a decision-making process. And the more decisions you make, I mean, you have to make a lot of decisions, and the more effective your decisions are, the higher your chances of success are. Again, not guaranteed. So I just thought, what could I do with myself? And I think my parents, we were in the UK at that time. That's the first time we agreed to see a sports psychologist. And I think I eventually saw myself score my first 100 once I had a few sessions with the sports psychologist. But again, I think I wasn't consistent with the process, and I thought that we swept things under the rug, and it was a temporary solution. But if I wanted to if I wanted to be consistent with my performances, I'd also have to be consistent with like I work my physical body, like I work my technical skills. I'll also have to work on the mental side of things. And I think it was after the England series that I really realized that this is something I need to step up. I need to step up my own efforts. So whether I read, what I listen to, the kind of people I'm around, because you have to make sure that your environment is positive, it's supportive, it's not toxic. You look at different things, you analyze yourself, you see what behaviors are being uprooted by different things in your life. And then I saw various people, I seek help from various experts. And I just thought that I set myself in the right trend after that. Again, like journaling is something that when you listen to a lot of good podcasts, a lot of successful people, you read their books, journaling again is one of the examples. So I picked up different things at different times. And I think, again, even at this moment, there are few things that I'm not consistent with, but when I do them consistently over a period of time, they all have their benefits. So it's just amazing that you have this whole field that you can access to. The only thing is being lazy and not giving an effort to that side of thing, not thinking that it's important, because it's not tangible and it's not directly related to your skill. It's not that you're picking up a bat and learning something, or you're out in the field or learning something, but it is so important. And it's those 1%ers, those intangible things that make a difference between a good and a great player.
Absolutely. That is exactly what this entire series is actually all about, right? Like, pardon me. That's exactly what the series is all about. It's about those non-technical, those non-cognitive skills that you just talked about that are so important, because I think from a technical capability perspective, there's marginal differences between the people who are already up there in the international arena, right? It comes down to something you said, right? The mental aspect, because especially for a batsman, you guys are facing bowlers who are bowling at 90 miles per hour, and you have less than fraction of a second to react, and for the brain to make that decision, like how to play that ball and make sure you don't get out and actually score runs. And then there's the scoreboard pressure, right? There's so many things mentally that all those calculations and analysis that are happening right in the brain. And surprisingly, now people, athletes are slowly starting to picking up on these things. But before, at least, there was no concept of training the mind, training the brain, and doing things that can actually help you be more strong mentally. Right? So
I think that's why Blink was such an important book. It basically made you accept something related to your profession. And then one of, I hope I'm not spoiling the book for anyone, one of the most important topics was that a baseball coach figured out that scientifically it's virtually impossible that you can spot the ball, because the time limit from the release of the ball to the point it gets you is so short, so minute, that it's impossible for the human eye to pick it up. So that's where you do your hours of training, you trust your subconscious. But how do you work on that subconscious? You need to exercise that subconscious as well. So, I mean, it just that's why I thought it was such a big revelation. It just made me look into something that I had no idea of.
Right. And you say something really interesting, like, it's a muscle that you got to exercise, right? Yeah. And we got to, just like how we treat our physical body, our chest or back or biceps and legs, whatever you train them, you build those muscles. Similarly, brain is a muscle, right? We got to do those exercises for the brain to improve our cognitive and non-cognitive capabilities as well.
Absolutely.
By the way, side question: have you read Outliers of Malcolm Gladwell as well?
I've read all his books,
Got it.
and the most recent one, Talking to Strangers.
Yeah, I have not read that one yet.
I'd recommend you getting an audiobook of that because he reads it himself. I don't think the text version would be that fun because the audiobook just makes it so much more interesting.
I'm gonna do that then. That's
really
something I'll do for sure. No, that's a great tip. Thanks, Shan. Okay, so great conversation. Another question that I really wanted to ask you is, in your as we talk about the mindset a lot, right? In this series, we talk about success, and a lot of the students, a lot of the youth that I work with as a coach, as an educator, they have this mindset about success, and they associate, sadly, a lot of them unfortunately associate monetary value with success in a way, and to me that's not right. But at the same time, I'd never say that, hey, money is not important. Money is definitely important, but it should not be the only yardstick to measure success, right? In terms of our youth, right? The youth who will be watching this episode, or even the working professionals or parents, what kind of advice do you want to impart on them in terms of like, what should they do, something actionable, if they want to actually really see the tangible success in their lives?
If you want to see tangible success, you'll have to accept that it'll always be a byproduct of the intangible success. And the best thing you can do is take that internal journey and work on your process. Yes, have goals, whether it's money, whether it's a big house, it can be anything. Whether it's success in your profession by numbers, by statistics, whatever, it can be anything. But the best form of success is when you're comfortable in your own skin, you have a solid process, and you base everything on that process, and you trust that process to deliver you outcomes. So work on yourself and work on bettering yourself, compete with yourself, be hungry, set targets, set goals, whether it's money. I don't mind people chasing money, but it has to be for the right reasons. And again, like the last thing would be, the best sort of satisfaction you get is when you can contribute, whether it's to millions, whether it's to like tens, hundreds of thousands, that doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, whatever you do, it has to contribute to something for the greater good. So once you get outside of yourself, it sounds a bit contradictory that you take that internal journey, but you still have to get outside yourself. Outside yourself by meaning that you serve for the greater cause. And once you figure out that cause, I think things become easy.
No, that's such a good point. And I think even in the even in like the workshops and the coaching that I do, I always work on students trying to figure out what is the bigger purpose of their lives, right? Once you have that sort of like a North Star to work with, everything somehow or the other, by taking that internal journey, start falling into place, right? It's like a pyramid. It's like a hierarchy. You can think of it in that way, right? When you were doing that, you were working on yourself. You were working on your self-development and your self-growth. Something actionable, like when you say take that journey inside, what would be like those top 2 or 3 things that you would recommend people to start doing to take that journey inwards?
Number 1 is obviously to be really honest with yourself and give yourself time. Talk to yourself. Don't worry that you go into a quiet zone, and just be honest with yourself. Figure out where you are, what you want to do, even if it sounds harsh. That really shouldn't matter. So once you start being honest with yourself, you figure out a lot of things. Number 2 would be to act, and don't be scared of acting. Even if something makes you uncomfortable. And I'd merge number 2 and number 3 together. So number 2 would be act, and number 3 would be to take yourself outside your comfort zone. something can make you if something's making you uncomfortable, you should know that's the time to act. So the best would be the outcome you strive for. When you act, you might get that result. And the worst possible scenario would probably be in your best interest as well, that if you don't, I know it sounds cliche, but if you don't succeed or get what you want, at least you learn something of it and you'll come back stronger.
Right.
So take a good look at yourself from the inside, act. And the third would be to take yourself outside your comfort zone.
I love it. I absolutely loved those pieces of advice, Shan. Thank you. So let's move on to a different, a little bit more on the cricketing side. We have spoken a lot about the mind and the psychology, the mindset, the inner journey. Let's talk about cricket, but still through the lens of those non-cognitive skills. I'm going to talk about leadership at this point. Recently, you were a very successful captain at your franchise team, the Multan Sultan in the Pakistan Super League. For those of you who are unaware what PSL or Pakistan Super League is, think of it as the English Premier League, EPL for Pakistan, but in cricket. That's like the analogy that I can give you. So Shan was the captain of a very successful franchise for PSL. Unfortunately, the tournament couldn't end due to COVID-19. But by the end of when it got canceled, all the teams had played equal amount of games, and your team, Shan, were the table toppers. You guys had won the most number of games, and you were the captain. And that too, I think it was the first time you were captaining a side in PSL. Correct me if I'm wrong.
In PSL, yes.
Right? Yeah. So how was that experience? And what I actually really want to understand is, how did that inner journey that you took by devoting yourself and exercising and working out your brain through books, through those podcasts, through those journaling that you spoke about, how did those things help you become a good leader?
I think, good or bad, the leader is always under the spotlight, and
Yes.
a lot of things behind the scenes they get ignored. I think there was a lot of work put in behind the scenes. The way Multan ran their cricketing setup, they invested in data analytics. The owners are passionate about cricket, and it just helps when you also have owners that are good mentors, and they instill something that they made a decision that I wouldn't call a normal decision. You wouldn't expect other franchises if I ask you to put me at the helm, to make me captain. They saw something and they backed their vision. So I think it all starts from there. Then we had a great set of a management team. We are led by Andy Flower, one of the most successful coaches in international cricket, one of the most successful players in international cricket.
Yeah.
And then we had a really good sort of mix of experience and youth. And I think what I tried to do from myself was I wanted to be open as much as possible to anyone and everyone over there.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously you need a filter at the end of the day as well, and you need to trust your own gut and instincts. But there were times that I did not know what to do, but I was lucky to have so many great resources at my disposal, so many great opinions at my disposal. But sometimes you might have all the resources, but if you're not open to those resources, if you don't know how to use them, then you struggle as well. So I think my thing was to be as honest and as open as possible. Captaincy is not easy because captaincy is just not on the field. On the field is the main bit. You have to make, it's a lot of decision making at the end of the day. So, and then when you're a batsman and you're a captain at the same time, I won't say it's a bad thing, but it's just making too many decisions in a matter of split seconds. And then once you go off the field as well, you still have a lot of decisions to make, whether it's team meetings, whether it's making the team setting out different things. So like you're a representative of the players. So how would you like to do things logistically? Different things. So it's again, I'd say it's not an easy job, but I think everything at the end of the day made me realize that I have to make decisions. And in order to make decisions, I have to keep myself in the best possible frame of mind mentally. So I think these non-cognitive like skills were, I think if I look at it, I just try to keep myself as fresh and healthy as possible, because there were just too many decisions that you have to make. And at the end of the day, the good thing about Multan was that we collectively took ownership of all decisions. And where somebody felt strongly about something, we tried to back that particular person. And there was no culture of senior or juniors. Everyone was welcome to put in their opinion. And it was a culture of empowerment. And once you empower people, you give responsibility, especially to athletes. I think that's when you get their best reactions. I think it's one of the most greatest learning experiences I've had thus far. And I'd love to do it again. And I think that the culture we had, the kind of people we had, it was such a great environment to work under. And I hope that we get to do it again in the future.
I'm sure. Hopefully things normalize from the pandemic that we all are experiencing, so that we can, who knows what will happen with this season of PSL, but hopefully whenever there is a next one, you guys do really good. Shan, like a great leader, you know, with that particular answer, like how all great leaders should be, they give the team the entire credit of the success, and that's exactly what you have done, and like a great role model. Tell me any a particular incident where you felt very challenged as a leader, as a captain. You were challenged, and how did you overcome that challenge?
I think the biggest challenge as a captain is I won't like give a particular incident, because that kind of thing happens all around the tournament, all year around, if you're playing a whole season throughout the year. But the worst part is you can only play 11 players, and you've got a squad of 18. How do you manage the other seven players? And I think the worst thing for a cricketer is sitting out. Sitting out is probably the toughest job. Yes, you should be grateful that you're in the squad. There are a lot of people who would be sort of dying to be in the squad. But again, everyone wants to play. Everyone wants to contribute. So leaving someone out, even resting somebody, somebody doesn't want to rest, you rest them against their will. Giving them that news. And look, if somebody throws a reaction, you don't mind that reaction, because number one, it's in the heat of the moment. And number two, it shows how passionate they are and how much they want to play and contribute. But you still have to look after your own frame of mind. And once you hear somebody saying something about you, or not accepting your decision, or not reacting to it when your honest intentions are for the betterment of the team and the betterment of the group, in the heat of the moment, it can be a bit intimidating. And you also have to go out in a matter of minutes and probably field or bat, and you have to make a lot of decisions. And that's where actually everything counts. At the end of the day, everything's based on the field. So it's tough leaving someone out and explaining them valid reasons or logical reasons, because what might be logical to you might not be logical to them. So it's a subjective choice at the end of the day, and I just feel it's probably the toughest part of being a captain. But you just have to make sure that you put that away, and once you go inside, you're Shan, the batsman, not Shan, the captain. And that's something that Andy Flower told me once we started this journey.
Nice. That's so in a nutshell, it's one of the toughest challenges at least you face, if I were to reiterate, is managing those seven who are asked to not play and sit out and be at the bench, and managing them, managing their emotions, and even taking their reactions back into the field, and being, clearing that mind out and playing with the game with the right mindset. Right? No, absolutely. That does sound like a very, very challenging jobs, especially when the stakes are so high, right? Um, in terms of Andy Flower, how was the experience working with Andy Flower? He is such a well-known personality in the international arena, as a coach, as a player, a great batsman, a great coach. How was the experience working with him? And if you were to say like there is this one thing or two things that you really, really learned from Andy Flower, what would they be?
I think I'd keep this brief, and I hope that brief thing actually demonstrates how good he is at what he does. For me, the most important skill for a coach or a manager is to be a good man manager, and he was just too good at that. He just knew how to deal with every person on an individual basis. And I think once you can do that, once you do things according to people's own customized needs, it just shows that how good you are at your job. So I think the way he handled everything, the way he managed every player on a personal basis was just incredible.
Right. So man, is there an example that you can give in terms of like, hey, how he is able to customize his relationship and his handling of the different personalities in the dressing room? Because just the reason why I'm asking this question, because even outside of the cricketing arena or the sporting arena, in the corporate world, in the academia world, we are all working with people at the end of the day. We are all managing people up and down, right? So it's a great skill to have in any aspect of your life. Even in personal relationship, you're still managing the relationships as well in your personal life.
I think for that, I can speak from a personal point of view.
Sure.
How he saw me as a young captain, and he basically knew when to shield me if things were getting thrown at my way, and he knew when to empower me, and he knew when to, even if it was his idea, he'd let me take the credit for it. So like different things. So he'd come up to me and say, I want you at the end of the team talk, like at the end of when we have a team talk, when we debrief, I want you to say those things because it'll assert your authority as a young leader. So those are amazing things, and I learned a lot from those particular things. I think just understanding me. I mean, he could have easily. He could have easily just let me go on about my business. He took a personal interest on what he wanted me to do, what he wanted me to say. And when on a personal level, when somebody does that for me, I feel very confident about myself, and it was just something good to have on a personal point of view.
Right. And that is such an important core leadership skill to have that humility that, yes, I am this big cricketer, coach, and taking that back seat and allowing another young player like yourself, a young leader, to take the front seat and take the credit and basically in a way empower you. And I think that's amazing. That's really, really, it's an important lesson for each and every one of us, whoever is listening, regardless of the field you are in. You know, it's important to realize and understand the nature of the people you're working with, and allowing them to giving them the opportunities to express themselves and empower them, and not be hogging the limelight all the time. That's fantastic. So Shan, those were all the questions that I had for you. This has been super, super phenomenal. I had a great time. But before we say goodbye, I wanted to give you the opportunity to also, ask some questions away. Because as I said, let's have a candid conversation.
No, I think everything's been covered. The questions that you posed, it like yourself just shows that what are the important things to sort of to have in order to tackle things from a mental perspective, looking at the intangibles of things. So I think your questions gave a lot of answers as well, and that's always nice to see.
I appreciate that. I think the work that I'm trying to do, and when it goes back to the moment when I reached out to you, right? It just felt like this guy is probably on the same page. Let me connect with him. And, I just thought I'll just message you and, lucky me, lucky me
And
that you will be
I think you're doing a great job, and I hope you keep at it and
Thank you.
just present some great stuff to the world. And I think people need that. We play these things down too much, but again, it's a psychological battle at the end of the day in a lot of things. And whatever actions, whatever things people do, they always start from up there. So
Yeah.
we should give this as much importance as we give to other things in life.
Absolutely. So well put, Shan. Thank you so much for being the first guest on my YouTube series. And I
It's a
really,
pleasure.
really wish you all the very best in your career. I can't wait to see cricket again. Honestly, it's kind of weird living a life without cricket for the first time of my 30, 31 years of existence, 32 years of existence. Sometimes I forget my own age. Sorry, apologize. And because I just love watching cricket, so it was just amazing chatting with you. Learned so much, and I really hope everyone who is watching this series, this show, this episode, you guys also got to learn a lot from Shan himself about leadership, about the mental aspect, about the non-cognitive skills that we keep talking about, because at the end of the day, it all starts right here with the most fascinating creation of all time, our brain. So Shan, thank you once again, and
Thank you, man.
chat soon. All right, let's stay in touch. Take care.
Take care.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. Oh my God, I had such a great time nerding up with Shan on cricket and psychology. That was just amazing. I learned so much from him, and I really hope you guys learned something as well. So if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to click the subscribe button and click the thumbs up button to like the video. It really helps us generate more content. See you next week.